Happy Easter to all, guys. I just came out of church, honestly. So, I usually would, I want to rant a little bit, guys. I can't lie, but I'm gonna try to keep it, I'm gonna keep it calm. But Dricus Du Plessis is out of the fight that was supposed to headline UFC 317 for International Fight Week. Now, guys, the thing about Dricus Du Plessis that I've noticed and I know is that if he believes he's hurt, or if he believes like something as far as like he's not healthy, he will not be in the fight. If you remember the Adesanya situation, remember when Izzy and DDP first faced off, they were supposed to fight in like 4 months after DDP beat Robert Whittaker. He pulled out the Izzy fight. Now what's fun, Izzy and DDP were both injured, but Izzy decided to stay in the fight with the injury, went in against Sean Strickland and lost. So DDP pulling out from the Izzy fight was probably a good thing, because DDP does stuff where if he does not feel like he could go in there like a real bad man at his top peak shape, he pulls out, which is it's a good thing and a bad thing. Like I don't want to like cook DDP for pulling out because he probably believed that he couldn't have beaten Khamzat Chimaev if he was injured, which is not a bad thing to believe because Khamzat's the real deal. Like Khamzat's legit. So I don't necessarily blame DDP for not fighting Khamzat, but it's just a frustrating situation. As you can see from the tweet at the very bottom, Khamzat's opinion on the fight. He said, "This guy, the biggest BS." I ain't gonna say it, but Khamzat's definitely pissed, just like we are, guys. You guys don't understand. Like, this is important because this was supposed to save 317. 317 can still have like fights like Kamaru, Usman, Buckley, but the main event's now gonna be likely Pantoja versus Kai Kara France. And I'm not saying that's a bad main event necessarily, but chat, all the potential banger fights, it just looks like there's a high chance that a lot of them might not happen. And I feel like DDP versus Khamzat's one of those fights that I was probably the most excited about this year. Like I was really craving that fight. Now like I said, DDP's habit of pulling out when he's hurt, it kind of gets me mad, but like I said, people are going to justify it. And do I think it's justified? Sure. Listen, DDP, I don't even think DDP can beat him when he's healthy. So I'm sure when he's unhealthy, DDP doesn't want to risk that situation. So I don't blame DDP for pulling out, and then, Khamzat's not known for not pulling out either. So, but it's just the fact that this was one of those fights that we could kind of grasp onto because we kind of know Aspinall versus Tom's not happening, and then Islam versus Taporia, it's like, we don't really know what's going on there. Like, chat, this 2025, like what bothers me about this year specifically is that it was supposed to be the year of UFC. Like this was supposed to be the resurrection of UFC. Like we really were expecting the rivalries, the bad bloods, all these anticipated fights to happen. The only one that's happened so far, there's been some that happened. Like the Merab Umar did come into fruition. The Ankalaev Pereira did come into fruition. Islam and Army kind of fell apart. But there's like, I feel as if all these fights that we were expecting to happen in 2025 happened, the UFC would have had the best year of ever, like since Prime Conor era, like since Khabib Conor fighting. Like it would have been UFC's best year in a while. But like Jon Jones not wanting to fight Tom Aspinall, then DDP being hurt, then Islam's team just not wanting to support a fight. It's like, do you guys, as fighters, they gotta look at us like we're fans, guys. We listen, you guys are rich and stuff, and yeah, you get paid. You guys aren't getting nothing without us, bro. We are literally the powerhouse of the UFC. If we stop watching, the views go down, they're going to go bankrupt and it's over. I don't know if fighters look at like fans and are like, I want to make this fight happen for the fans. Because if that's the case, I feel like Islam's team wouldn't be so, nah, dude, I don't want to fight Ilia. And I'm not saying Islam's ducking, but his team is definitely avoiding the Ilia fight. Like I guess I don't see much from Islam speaking. But I just feel like they don't want the fight. And then people like Jones and Tom Aspinall are just inexcusable. And people who are still Jones fans and like defending him just doesn't make any sense. Yeah, man, Jones doesn't have to fight him, man. Jones could just do whatever he wants. Okay, I don't care. Like, listen, I think people think I care so much about Jones, specifically Aspinall. I'll be real. Out of these 3 potential fights, I don't give a flying fadoodle about Jones Aspinall fight. I don't care. Like, that's one of those fights I actually don't care about because I don't need Jones to fight Aspinall. I don't think Jones needs to fight Aspinall on paper either. I really don't care for it. You can say, oh, his legacy's already through the roof, man. He's a cowabunga dude. He's gnarly. Cool. I don't care. Vacate your belt. Why are you holding up the division? See, this is where I start to get angry, and this is where I don't want to get mad today, but this is where I start to get like upset. people like Jones, who are doing absolutely nothing and have zero interest in a fight with interim champion, but still wants to hold the belt and hold out the division. What is your, like, are you logically, are you okay? Like, you know what I'm saying? Are you like a little bit, muy loco, brother, muy little bit crazy? Like, what are you doing? Like, I don't know if it's sole purpose just to ruin Aspinall's career because he doesn't like him, so he's going to make Aspinall wait for no reason and pull a Michael Chandler. He's going to have him waiting for 2 years and still not vacate the belt. And the thing about Jones' situation that's even more frustrating is that Dana White, since he loves Jon Jones, has crushes on him, he's not going to cut Jon Jones. He's not going to strip the belt from him until like maybe a year. But the point of that being said is 2025, Jones doesn't have to fight a single time, and I guarantee they're not going to try to strip him from that title because just the love they have for Jon Jones. And I think Jones is going to keep milking the negotiations until eventually next year happens, and we still haven't had the fight, and then Dana's going to be like, no, I think it's going to happen 2026 summer. Bro, I'm about to... Listen, International Fight Week, man. Could have been the most stacked International Fight Week in UFC history. DDP... Okay, out of everyone here, I'll be realistic... Dricus Du Plessis reasoning, it makes the most sense, because he's hurt, like he's injured. I don't know the severity of his injury. Like we don't really know much about what injury it was. I know the Adesanya fight, he injured his foot, so he pulled out the Adesanya fight because like he probably needed it to like kick and stuff. I don't know the injury he had here, but I'm assuming DDP it had to be significant because I'm gonna give DDP credit here. DDP's a warrior. Like, he wants to fight the hardest fights. If you guys remember, before the Strickland rematch, he was begging. I've never seen this before. He was begging for the Khamzat fight. Like, I don't want to fight Sean. Why would I fight Sean? Give me Khamzat. They're like, no, we're going to give Sean because Dana White privilege. Cool. He goes in there 50-45 Sean. See how things come full circle? And now we're in a situation where we're supposed to get the Khamzat fight next, and then, like, something happens. He's hurt. Now he's hurt. Now what do we do? Oh, man. And it's just like, and, like, now we need a replacement for the Khamzat fight. I do think Khamzat's going to be given a replacement. But even if he does, like, are they going to do an interim title? I don't know what their plan is for middleweight. Maybe they're going to do an interim title fight. I think because if you guys think about it, I got to be real, chat. Yes, Pantoja Kai Car-France is probably going to be headlining 317 now, just given the situations. However, I feel as if they're going to try to make a bigger weight class fight for an interim title. So I really think Imavov and Khamzat are going to fight for an interim title because a lot of people are saying Imavov after his last performance deserves to fight for the title next. Some people are saying Khamzat after Whittaker, so people are going back and forth. So I think what makes the most sense for the UFC is to make an interim title fight because as much as I love Kai Car-France and I think Pantoja is an exciting fighter, based on what the UFC's putting Pantoja in the rankings, like what, top 8 pound for pound as a champion, under like Alex Pereira, Volkanovski, like all these guys, but for no reason, by the way. But I feel like they don't care about flyweights. I care about flyweights, but I know a lot of casual viewers aren't gonna want like the International Fight Week, the biggest fight week of the year, to be headlined by flyweights. We just don't want to. So I'm assuming the UFC is gonna do an interim title fight for Imavov and Khamzat Chimaev, and I feel like that's gonna make that's gonna make down the road a fight more intriguing with like the winner of that fight. I do think like Khamzat versus Imavov is like, dang, bro, that's not easy. I think Imavov might get embarrassed, dude. I can't lie, because he's just like, I don't know, mauled by Allen for the first round was kind of and if Allen got you down that early and kind of mauled you, I could see Khamzat doing a lot worse. But you listen, man, it comes down to the fact that we need a fight for International Fight Week. I will say this, Islam and Ilia will happen, chat, but Islam's teams, like, their ability to say, I really don't want to fight this guy, is going to lead to the fight being pushed back and the negotiations being pushed back to the point where they're going to fight, but it's probably going to be at the end of the year. So that's probably not going to headline International Fight Week either. Maybe the UFC is going to have to compensate Islam a lot of money to make him fight in International Fight Week. I know Ilia's down. Everyone knows Ilia's down. Islam, I don't even know if Islam's not down or his team's just not down, but given the situations, it's just giving that Islam and his team just don't want to fight Ilia. And I understand the reasons they're trying to say, oh, the 145 or 2, why are we giving small guy a chance? And I get it, but if they, like, I'm telling you right now, Ilia does more for his legacy than anyone. Literally anyone, including Armin. Even though I think Armin's a harder fight, Ilia's going to do more for your legacy because you already beat Armin. He's already on your record. Ilia's not on your record. He's undefeated. He's looked at as one of the best fighters pound for pound. He's top 3 pound for pound, He's coming off 2 back-to-back knockouts against Max Holloway, who knocked out a 155er not too long ago. And then he's coming off a knockout over Volkanovski, who just beat Lopez. So, on paper, I hope Islam and his team knows, if you beat Charles again, we're not giving you flowers. If you beat Justin Gaethje, we're not giving you flowers. If you beat Armin Sarukian, we'll give you flowers, but it's just not going to do as much as for your legacy as Ilia Topuria, in my opinion. If you beat Paddy Pimblett, I'm not even going to, what the fuck? Whoa. Pardon my language. Oh my god. If you beat anyone that's not Ilia, bro, it's over. All right. Oh, bro, I can't be asked, dude. I'm just bro. I can't even bite my tongue, bro. Dang. It's just frustrating, chat. You guys gotta realize how frustrating this situation is. It's just like I can't. Like, what are we gonna do then? Because I know Jones is not gonna budge. No one in the comments can convince me Jones is gonna fight Aspinall. I know Jones is not even gonna entertain that fight. Anyone who still believes Jones is gonna fight in 2025, you're goofy. You have no hairline probably. You're not a real bad man. You know, you probably walk with their hairline to the slope to the left at a 45-degree angle. That's the truth about Jones. Jones is just scared. Like, it's okay to be scared. I don't care if you're scared. Just vacate. That's my whole thing with Jones. Just vacate. Make Aspinall and Almeida or something. And then Islam and Taporia it's a bunch of he said she said from Islam's camp, and Islam just seemingly not wanting to fight. The UFC, they messed up, man. They're screwed this year. They're screwed. What was supposed to be the biggest year financially and probably view wise in the UFC is turning into the year that destroyed the UFC. Man, as a fan, this is hard to watch, chat. As a fan, this is not the easiest thing to look at. Watching something like this, watching something like the UFC having the best matchmaking opportunities and just absolutely fumbling it. Like, I'm talking about messing it up. Whether it's, it's not the UFC's fault. It's not the UFC's fault. The more I look at this image and I just start to think about it, I'm blaming the UFC and Dana and stuff, but it's the fighter's fault. Jones' fault. It's Islam and his team's fault. I guess I can't say it's Du Plessis' fault for getting injured, but he just but it's the fighters. Maybe we gotta do. I don't know what the UFC has to do to make fighters take fights. Like, what the heck is this, dude? And what's more frustrating about the Islam thing is because, like, we'll fight anyone the UFC wants. Whatever the people want, just give me, brother. Just send anyone in my face 155. Bring him here. Like, are you sure? Everyone? You sure? Anybody? If King Kong can make it, come on, bro. I'm not trying to hate. I'm just like, yo, bro, are we really doing this right now? It just seems like content. I don't like being lied to. That's one thing that irks me. I can't lie. And then we got the Jones just being scared. Like, Islam and Jones, man. Islam and Jones aren't in the same picture because Jones is blatantly ducking. I see Islam's point of view a little bit. Like, oh, I just want to be the 145er and just make an excuse. But Ilia's not a 145er. It's just not anymore, at least. Man, I can't be asked. I can't be asked. I'm really disappointed in the Du Plessis Khamzat situation, but I do kind of figure that the UFC is going to go the interim champion route, because if Kaikar, France, and Pantoja are headlining 317, like I said, I enjoy that fight and I wouldn't mind it, but I feel as if it's going to be a significant upset in contrast to what we should have or what we could have gotten. These fighters got to get it together. I do think the UFC has to do something where they have to start like almost forcing fighters to accept fights or force fighters to go down a certain road, especially if them denying the fight is making the UFC look worse or making the UFC take a hit. Because honestly, at the start of my video, I just realized I'm kind of going in on the UFC more than the fighters, when in hindsight and in retrospect, it's really the fighters causing this dilemma. If fighters were just, if everyone had DDP's mindset, I know DDP is one of the problems here, but if everyone had DDP's mindset of just taking the hardest challenge, I feel as if this wouldn't be the situation. Like, I feel like DDP is the best representation of a champion who wants the hardest fight. I will say DDP is one of those people who does pull out if he gets hurt, but it's okay to do that in a sense. I'm not going to be too hard on DDP, but the thing about DDP, he did it in the biggest like opportunities in his life. The first time he pulled out that I remembered was against the Izzy fight, and that was for his first title opportunity. So if Dricus is willing to deny his first title opportunity because he's hurt, like you could tell that it must have been like something significant. This would have been his biggest, in my opinion, biggest title defense, and definitely his biggest challenge stylistically. And the fact that he pulled out of it, I don't think it's because he's scared. I'm not riding that narrative that DDP's ducking. You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't make sense to me. I really think DDP's like a man of his word, and he really wants to fight. So the fact that he can't fight, I think something's up. So I want to see what happened. Maybe he's gonna come out with an X-ray or something. But it really is just an embarrassing situation, isn't it? Like, bro, I can't be asked about this. The UFC's kind of falling apart. International Fight Week is down the drain. I don't know, man. I don't know. Either set up Khamzat and Mavov interim title fight, or we'll settle for Pantoja Kaikar France. But let me know what you guys think down below about this whole ducking and running and weird injury situation. That's it for me. Happy Easter and God bless. 2, 3.